Okay, so in our previous video, we put in the trial balance on the worksheet, and then we calculated out the adjustments and got them in, and then we added and subtracted across and got our adjusted trial balance, and that balanced out. Now we're going to finish the worksheet so that we can then go on and do our financial statements and our closing. So we have the income statement columns, the balance sheet columns. You have to know down to the marrow of your bones what accounts go on the income statement, what accounts go on the balance sheet. The income statement is a financial statement that shows whether management has attained the number one goal of profitability. To be profitable, we have to have our revenues be more than our expenses. So revenues and expenses are the only things that go on an income statement. This can be called a statement of operations or a statement of earnings. Still is the same as the income statement. It's all about profitability. It's all about revenues and expenses only. Okay, so we have to know what our accounts are. Our mowing fees earned. Oops. I got a typo there. Okay, mowing fees earned is our revenue account. So that's going to get copied over. It's a 1480 credit on the adjusted trial balance. It's going to be 1480 credit on the income statement column. Then all of these four things we have are expenses. They're all debit balances. They're all going to copy over at the same number. There's no adding or subtracting here. It's just copying, just making sure that you only have revenues and expenses on the income statement. Okay, so now I'm going to total this up. 380. And this is 1480 for the credit side. Now I'm going to take the total revenues minus the total expenses, big number minus the small number, and that's our net income. And so we have 1100 is our net income. Now if I total these up, 380 and 1100, that equals 1480. Now my total's equal. But I had to add this 1100 net income to make them equal. Because of course, A equals L plus E. I don't have all the A and the L, etc. in here. I only have revenues and expenses. So they're not going to equal down here. Okay, now for the balance sheet has everything else. So the assets, the liabilities, and the owner's equity accounts. Okay, and so again, we're just copying over, just making sure that you copy the correct number and it doesn't change from debit to credit, etc. Okay, so that gets us down to the drawing account goes in the balance sheet. Now we have to add those up, and of course they don't include everything, so they're not going to total right off the bat either. Okay, big number minus small number, and that is 1100. Oops. Okay, and now those two numbers equal. Okay, and this 1100 net income from the income statement is the same as this 1100. Okay. If it's not, then you did something wrong. You have a number in a wrong column or typed it up wrong, whatever. Okay, now our worksheet is done and we are ready to actually make our financial statements, and we are ready then to do closing after that. Now, we will have to, these adjustments, just because they're on a worksheet, doesn't mean we're done with those adjustments. We have to put in adjusting journal entries into the journal and post them to the ledger. So this first one, we had supplies is a 90 debit, supplies expense, and supplies, the asset, is a 90 credit. So here's our journal, and I can't fit that all on there, so I'm going to go down to the next page. Don't have part. We have part of a transaction on one page and part on another page. Okay, May 31st. Adjustments are done on the last day of the month. Okay, and we said we were going to debit supplies expense, and that was for 90. And we're going to credit. Credits come second, indent. Mowing supplies, the asset, credit that for 90. Okay, and that shows us how many supplies used in May. Okay, the other one, okay, was a debit to depreciation expense and a credit to accumulated depreciation dash equipment. That's for 10. Okay, so now I have those journal entries, and we can post them now, or you can post them later. You can go ahead and post them now. So I have a debit to supplies expense. And that was a debit of 90. So my new balance is 90. And that was General Journal page 2. That's account 503. We have the mowing supplies. That was a credit of 90. We had a debit of 150. Now we have a credit of 90. Debit and credit is subtract. So now there is a $60 balance. And hey, that matches what we said supplies on hand are supposed to be. Okay? And that was from General Journal page 2. That's account 130. Depreciation expense, debit 10. And that's 504. Accumulated depreciation Okay, now I did not have an accumulated depreciation account, so I'm just going to add it right here. And that's going to be account 181. Okay, that's 531, and that was a credit of 10, so we have a balance of 10 credit. And that was from GJ2. That's account 181. Okay, so now if you were to look at your ledger balances, they should all equal what's on your adjusted trial balance. They should all equal these balances on your adjusted trial balance. If they don't, then you posted something wrong. Okay, you need to fix it. Because they need to equal this that you said, adjusted trial balance. You said these are the balances in my ledger after adjustments. So once you post those adjustments, ledger should equal these numbers. Okay, so our next step is to start on the financial statements.